Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Show. We are tuning in for, it's a very special show that we're doing. We're doing, as you can already tell, a guest show, and we're joined by Rai from Rai's Football Paradise as our first guest of this season. It's a segment and a kind of part of what we've done as a channel for a long while, but we haven't done it as much as we wanted to recently. And Rai has very kindly accepted to come and chat with us this evening. So first and foremost, welcome to the show, Rai, and thank you for coming on. How on earth are you this evening?
Hello, guten Tag. I guess this is an English-speaking show, hopefully. Yes.
Yes.
Good, I'm good.
In as much as my German is terrible, yes.
So we were just saying off camera, weren't we? This is far more enjoyable than watching England, for example, this evening.
Absolutely. It's already 2-0, so it's already game over, so there's no need to worry about that.
Absolutely. I sometimes feel like watching England is very much like watching my club in Germany, VfL Bochum, full of disappointment, heartbreak.
Yeah, indeed. So we're going to get into it. It's going to be a really fun show because, we get to talk to you about your journey, Rai, through, from obviously the start all the way through to what you and your channel is right now. So I think what would be really cool is to get a great understanding is for you to walk us through how you have become Rai's, football paradise and this kind of journey through German football to becoming so embedded into the VfL Bochum family and journey. Because I think from my research, if I'm not mistaken, you are/were a Man United fan, much like myself. So we've got a lot in common straight away. Just walk us through it and talk to me about how you've kind of stumbled your way through into German football paradise.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on the show. It's always good to find other slightly strange people, I guess we could call ourselves, that have chosen
Absolutely.
this road down German football as opposed to the glitz and glamour of the Premier League. But as you mentioned, yes, it's an awkward one because the narrative is obviously swapping Manchester United for, in my case, Bochum. But reality is, they're still. I don't know if it's the same with you, but there's still a place in my heart for Manchester United. They're still very much my favourite Premier League club. It's just I've personally chosen not to put my money into a club or to fund the Premier League. How do I put this politely? I've just chosen to put my money elsewhere, essentially, and follow my heart. And with doing so, I've obviously stumbled across my club. It's a very long story. How deep do you want me to go?
You can go as deep as you want. I think what's really interesting is that, from the English side of it, we have our English team. And what's always really interesting to hear from everyone's point of view, but particularly, those of us who aren't native to Germany is, so why Bochum? How did you come across the club? Because it's a really interesting story. I've watched your videos over the last couple of days whilst we've been connecting, and it's so interesting. And the videos that you do really kind of give you those feels of what football is meant to be.
I've heard
Just
that tagline somewhere before. Football as it's meant to be.
Yes, absolutely. Why VfL?
A happy accident. So prior to, we all know the Euros took place in Deutschland last summer. No, summer before now, wasn't it? 2024, yes. Last year. And at the time, I just not long started a YouTube channel whereby I wasn't really a match vlogger. I used to just go to stadiums and talk about the history of the club, the stadium, normally do stadium tours, that sort of thing. With the upcoming Euros, I thought, let's just take that to Germany, feature a few Euro 2024 stadiums. I've always wanted to check out the Westfalenstadion, obviously the home of Dortmund. naturally their rivals, Schalke, and so on. And I went to Germany the first time with only stadium tours booked. The two mentioned, plus Gladbach, FC Köln. Where else did I go? Possibly Dusseldorf, I can't remember. But I stumbled. It was almost like a gift from God. I stumbled upon tickets to 3 different games. And as you know, German football tickets normally aren't easy to come by. Through connections and just being at the right time at the right place, I ended up seeing my very first Bundesliga game on paper, not being one that would attract the tourist, which was obviously us, VfL Bochum, against Hoffenheim. And we know how the Germans feel about Hoffenheim.
Yes.
The next day was, at the time, a 4th division game, a Regionalliga West, Alemannia Aachen against
Nice.
Bochum. And it was the game that Aachen got promoted in, pitch invasion, after I think it was like 12 years in regional obscurity back to the and then obviously that infamous Leverkusen unbeaten run. They were 2-0 down at the Bayer Arena to Stuttgart, came back, did what Leverkusen did that year and drew 2-2. So I saw an Aachen promotion, I saw a Leverkusen invincible run, but it was the Ruhrstadion which caught my heart. But I resisted adopting them as my team for a good few months afterwards, 3 or 4 months afterwards. I still continued to explore Germany and hope to explore as a neutral, different fan cultures. But you have to go with your heart, don't you? You don't pick your club picks you. So
yeah. So obviously you're starting to get to know German football, doing some tours, and then it obviously just clicked with Bochum. So at that point of seeing them for the first time in the Hoffenheim match, so we would have been talking about
the 23-24 season it was.
23-24 season, okay. So that would be the season that they went down, or is that the season prior to, if we're getting...
We went down last season, so it was the year before, which culminated in the Dusseldorf game, 3-0 penalty shootout, and we stayed up. So that was a few months before that infamous relegation battle.
So that's really interesting to, obviously the fact that you've not gone for the typical, if we're talking about the German powerhouses and something like that. So did Bochum appeal, to you more because of what they were going through in terms of their hardship? And we can kind of talk about the state of the club a little bit in terms of where things currently sit at the start of this season as well. But was that an added appeal to you, or was it just because, this helped you to kind of, explore, genuine German football rather than the kind of superpowers that are already in existence in Germany? Because you mentioned that you went to, Signal Iduna Park, in Dortmund, which is obviously very close by to Bochum, and things like that. So it could have been very easy that, for you to stumble across these other teams as well. So was that part of the pull and the appeal of Bochum?
I mean, we've both mentioned following Manchester United as kids and feeling distant from the club. I think subconsciously there was always that reluctance to go for the big kind of famous name. But again, I genuinely tried really hard not to become a Bochum fan, and I don't want any of my friends taking offence to that. I mean that as a complimentary way, that I tried so hard to be a neutral, to see all the clubs, but they just caught my heart. And I mean, look, I'm here with a Ruhrstadion tattoo on my wrist, so it's not quite finished. But there's still people out there that aren't quite sold on the fact that I'm a Bochum fan. I'm like, I spend hundreds of pounds every month. I go to every away game. I've got a tattoo. I've got a season ticket. Like, what more do you want? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I think, it's not always it's not up to people to decide who you do and don't support as well. So that can always be the case. Also interested to hear about the fact that we're talking about your journey, through Germany and becoming, obviously so linked with VfL. is there a reason other than the fact that you wanted to go to Germany and look at the stadiums, because obviously that's part of your background, that you ended up obviously on this German football journey? Or is there something about the fan culture that you already knew about? We can talk about the way that the clubs are run here. We can talk about 50+1 and all that sort of stuff. So is there another reason why you selected Germany as a nation to build kind of your channel and your content as well?
Yeah, so it genuinely was both a happy accident in terms of Germany as a country, Bochum as a club, and creating YouTube content, because I hadn't gone there. Unlike a lot of YouTubers who kind of do things for, don't get me wrong, we all love good views. We all love the channel if it's making a bit of money, because that'll fund our hobby. But reality is, I mean, I go places I genuinely want to go to. And realistically, if we're talking about revenue, views, all that sort of thing, I think we both agree that following Premier League would be a lot more beneficial to grow on YouTube. I mean, the start of the channel just over two years ago at the beginning of the 23-24 season, and it grew very quickly doing Premier League stuff. Coming to Germany, it took a little while because it's a niche, isn't it? An English-speaking guy. So it very much was not for YouTube growth or YouTube views. That's just come as a result of my own passion and making content in Germany because I happen to be there, because I enjoy it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so going, I mean, there's a fine line, as you know, with German football. The culture is a little less open to tourism, vlogging, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah, you have to pay respect and fit into that culture, but also portraying why do so many Brits now make the trip over to Germany, to Holland? We're trying to find a piece of something that we've lost from our own top divisions, aren't we?
Yeah, no, I think they're all really interesting points, and I think particularly what you pick up on about being respectful in regards to your vlogging, because I think that's particularly something that Mark and Peter, who do the vlogging on our channel mainly, they found that as well. So is that something that you've had to kind of like build that relationship with the Bochum fan base particularly, and therefore make them a lot more comfortable with the fact that you are doing filming in and around the stadium and things like that? Is that just kind of part and parcel of just being part of a football club, I guess?
Well, it did make me laugh, because that first time I went to that game at the Ruhrstadion, I was all like a quiet little mouse. I was kind of navigating my way around the Ruhrstadion, and then fast forward 6 months, and people were actively like jumping in front of the camera when we scored and stuff. So
yeah,
I can be more animated in the environment that allows me to do so. But again, if you go to a different club as a tourist, you're not going to get that same willingness, I think, when it comes to vlogging. But I think that's the case everywhere. We should be respectful wherever we're going. I mean, partly why maybe the atmospheres have suffered in the Premier League is we like to blame the tourists, and I personally, again, as a tourist, don't feel like that's the problem with the Premier League. I feel like more hospitality tickets, price increases, pricing out the working class fan. Because let's be honest, the working class younger fan generally is the fan who makes more noise. I think they're bigger problems than tourism and stuff. Don't get me wrong. I don't know why I'm talking about tourism and Premier League, but
no, it is all linked, because it's part of the reason why you've ended up where you've ended up, is part of the reason or reasons why me and Mark do this channel and have our own passions about the clubs that we follow. So it's all completely linked for sure. So a couple of other questions I want to ask you in a second. Just want to pick up a couple of comments from those of you that are watching with us live. Really nice comment from Left Footed, obviously a viewer of ours, and I'm sure of Rye's as well, and just saying, hey Rye, love the channel, have had a similar path discovering and loving football in Germany over the years. Currently I'm still a neutral, hoping to swing by Bochum in the future. So that's awesome. Thank you for that, Left Footed. Cam checking in, saying evening chaps, hope you're well, looking forward to this one. And nice comment from Nathan as well, saying looking forward to this. Cam also adding to the point of Premier League prices. Yeah, we know about your condition of being a Wolves fan, Cam. So yeah, that's pretty steep right now.
My stepdad's a Wolves fan, and I've been trying to convert him to be a Bochum fan. So maybe you can follow suit and join us at the Ruhrstadion. You'll love it. We're just as bad. You know, let's be honest, it's not been an easy season for Wolves either. So
yeah, precisely that. So yeah, I mean, like as we're talking about the club and kind of the state of affairs, obviously this is a love story, right? And obviously your content really portrays that. But the footballing on the pitch results is far from a love story for the VfL, sadly. So you know, see now sitting in the Zweite Bundesliga, the world's most entertaining league, of course, as it's well known. I think the start of the season has obviously been less than ideal in terms of the want to bounce straight back or the want to have a positive start.
Just be real. Less than ideal is a very polite way of putting the start of our season.
I'm always polite. Well, I try to be. Until Stuttgart start losing, that's when I get a bit ruder. So yeah, I mean, I've looked at the results, and obviously I followed the Zweite closely, but not obviously as closely as the Bundesliga, because that's the content that we covered the most on the channel. And aside from the 2-0 win versus Elversberg, the losses have obviously come and it's been disappointing. But they've all been quite close. So do you think it's the case that the club is just trying to acclimatize to the kind of crazy or crazier version of German football that we see in the second division, or is it just a case of a club is really struggling on the pitch and therefore it's just showing from the lack of, what's the better word of saying it, remembering how to win, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say lack of investment. You just mentioned Elversberg, of course. Let's put that into context. They had a player sent off in the first 5 minutes of that game at the Ruhrstadion. We were awful. It took to like the 70th minute until we scored, and yeah, we ended up winning 2-0. So it's more than investment, because a lot of people tipped Elversberg to go down of the Zweite Liga this year. And I was very much against that idea, because you mentioned mentality and culture, and they've like rebuilt the team and they're up near the top. Whereas we've lost some key players, but we've still got a lot of players from the Bundesliga who aren't really performing very well. I mean, there's a bit of a running joke on my channel that I call our striker, Philipp Hoffmann, the foosball god. Bless him. Hoffy, really nice guy.
Yeah,
he did score. He did score last week in Kaiserslautern, but he's not been at his best. So we can't pinpoint any particular player, but there's got to be a mentality. But if you are watching this and you're either British, American, or whatever, we reference the Premier League, and I've got to just grab those who love a bit of nostalgia. We've got to grab, who remembers these Corinthian figures?
Yeah.
Uwe Rosler, former Manchester City player. He's now our manager from last Monday. So we have a new manager, new hope. We've got this international break. Is it Landers Pauserspiel, they call it in Germany?
Possibly.
So who knows? Let's see what Uwe does.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting to get your take on the club. Would you say that Hoffy is your favourite Bochum player? I think we at the channel here have got a very soft spot for the as he's known on our channel at the very least, the Bochum Messi, Gerrit Holtmann.
Oh yeah, he's second in line. I love Holtmann as well. Yeah. They're the things with Hoffmann. He took the time out of his training to come and have a brief interview with me for the channel. So I love him as a person, regardless of what he does on the pitch. Whereas Holtmann, so we've got a hotel, a Moxie hotel next to the Ruhrstadion. And every time I walk past, I used to hear this random person go, "Oi, England," or "Hey, England." And I never knew who it was. And then I looked around one day and it was Gerrit Holtmann. I couldn't believe it. I was like, these are players.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I very fondly remember his amazing goal that mazy run that he went on. I do forget who it was against, but yeah, ever since
I know the goal you're talking about.
we've
like
called him the
Brian
Balkan Messi.
Yeah.
So let's kind of move back to to the story itself, and a couple of different things that I wanted to ask you is that what's been kind of some of the real high points that you've experienced along your journey, whether it be involved with VFL or otherwise. Obviously, you've mentioned being able to speak to Hoffman, which is really cool, and some other nice snippets. What's been something that's really kind of made you feel like it's been a standout moment?
Yeah, well, I know this is a Bundesliga show, and I don't want to kind of bore people completely with our misery in the Zweite Liga, the second Bundesliga. But of course, despite finishing bottom last year, there were some highlights. Personally, I don't know if you know, I went on. It took me 8 games to see us lose, and if you've seen how bad we've been for a while, that 8th game was a loss the following season to the one I've mentioned So it was the season last year we lost to Hoffenheim. And I was like, right, that's the run over. It's all downhill from here. The week later, we went to Bayern, the Allianz Arena, and we won 3-2 after being down 2-0. So there's been plenty of high points. But let's make this more about the Bundesliga. I mean, you mentioned Stuttgart. I mean, we went there a few weeks ago. I've got a scarf here. Really nice people. Again, tried some of the local beer. Really enjoyed Stuttgart. Equally, Frankfurt, for me, you can't really see that as a Eintracht scarf. Honestly, I don't upset anyone. I feel like Eintracht Frankfurt ultras are the loudest in the Bundesliga.
Okay.
But, subjective. So fair play to Frankfurt. I honestly, every time I'm in Germany, I love the experience. I mean, you see Darmstadt here, and I think some people get a little bit funny when you buy items from other club shops. But, we might have our clubs, but you can't take the tourist out of us. You know what I mean? These are all experiences that we cherish. So.
Precisely. I think, I'm very much the same. The guys that we work with that do Bundesliga boxes, for example, such an amazing product. And I can't help myself but just keep on getting the product and keep on getting these really super cool tricots, of course. And they're so such an excellent product that Rich does with us with Bundesliga boxes. So that's excellent stuff. So speaking of kits, I think there's quite a cool way of moving us on to football and nostalgia and talking about football kits. We had a comment actually on X prior to obviously the show. One of our good friends at the Balls in Red RB Leipzig podcast wanted me to ask you, right, about the fabled. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this on screen. It's the white strip with the kind of rainbow colors going down the right hand side, or the left hand side rather. And they wanted me to ask you about that because you do kit ratings as well, don't you?
Well, it's known to everyone who isn't a Bochum fan as like one of the ugliest kits of all time, but it's known to us as like a godly kit. I actually have the tracksuit that goes with it, so it's blue, but it's half and half. Normally it's here where I am in my shed, but I've left it in Germany with a friend because sometimes I can't be bothered to put it in my luggage. But if you go on the channel, you'll see it. And obviously as a Bochum fan, the only problem is like I'm sure you've discussed this at length. We all know that politics is a lot more attached to football in Germany than it is here in England. Mm-hmm. And we know what the rainbow flag kind of politically represents now. I always find people think I'm trying to make a political statement when I wear that. Sure. But just to put that into context, you can see Faber, the sponsor.
Yeah.
This is their logo. So it was literally just a cool design. There's no political attachment. Personally, I try and stay away from anything political when it comes to football. But yeah, I've just thrown that out there. It's just a cool 90s design. Don't worry about any labels and just enjoy the nostalgia of these 90s kits.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, I guess if we're talking about kits, what have you made of the Bochum strips for this season? Have you had time to rate those at all and kind of think, and do you feel that kits these days are losing their imagination, their touch of class? Is it all a bit kind of samey for you?
So from a distance, our last few kits with Mizuno look like they're pretty much identical. One thing I do like with the Mizuno kits is they actually have, we mentioned Manchester United. Do you remember they used to have like Old Trafford within the actual fabric?
Yeah,
so
within the fabric,
yeah, that is one thing. Unless you look up close, Mizuno do have Bochum specific things in the actual stitching of the shirt. However, yeah, I am a sucker, as you can see, for the flamboyance of 90s. So yeah, not bad, but do you not find of some kits almost? You mentioned the RB Leipzig guys. Do you think sometimes Leipzig go a bit over the top with their designs, that it almost like feels a bit forced?
I think so, yeah. And I think some clubs go over the top with design. Some try to really go into the fabric of their community, like you say, with Bochum kind of stitching in things. But the sad thing is that when it's so subtle, it's actually it's hard to give it credit because you can't actually see it every day. And I think Stuttgart have done something pretty similar this season. I think it is, or it's either this or last season.
Red band, haven't they? It's all a bit like
exactly that. Which is sometimes really well received and sometimes not. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to kind of talk about. And I guess if we're talking, you mentioned the dreaded word politics, but I do want to kind of ask you one thing about football politics, which is all around the delightfulness of 50+1. Because, naturally, again, as an English chap, originally, being a Man United fan and that kind of ownership model, dare we even talk about the dreadedness that goes on, at Manchester United and the club ownership model and the rest of that. And obviously pretty much everything that's in the Premier League these days. The 50+1 rule is obviously a rule that is there to protect the clubs from these kind of ownership models. But then obviously there is the grand old argument about financial investments and keeping up with the rest of the world, or AKA the Prem. So do you feel like there's an argument to be had with 50+1, or do you cherish it just as much as, most German natives?
But it is interesting, isn't it, from a British perspective, because we've grown up in the Premier League era, and we see, as people fond of German football and its somewhat purity, we see it from both sides. Can I just say disclaimer as well? I understand that politics is everywhere. I'm not against politics in German football. It's just when you have a social media channel, you want your life to be easy and you don't want to push an agenda. So I very much understand that obviously politics is also a reason why German football purity is somewhat preserved, fighting against Monday Night Football, throwing tennis balls on the pitch and stuff. Yeah. That's all politics, and I'm all for that. But the problem we've got is, again, it's awkward because Bochum have a friendship with Bayern, but let's be honest, Bayern are going to rip the Bundesliga apart this year. They're going to absolutely decimate it. And that is what is holding the Bundesliga back internationally, definitely, because people just see it as they use that term, don't they? Farmers League. Who's going to compete? You have the one season wonders of Leverkusen, that season Kaiserslautern had in '98, the odd Dortmund season. Like, nobody can sustain a run.
Yes.
And because of Bayern's own success in terms of how well run a club they are, and they faced obstacles in their early years, so they've very much earned that spot.
Yeah,
but it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one because it does make me laugh, though. I've got friends in Germany who love Welcome to Wrexham. They love everything about Wrexham, but then they hate Hoffenheim and things. And I know what people are saying, Wrexham had more history than Hoffenheim. Is it that much different? It just shows that how the Germans react to Dietmar Hopp, a childhood Hoffenheim player or grew up in the area, invested his millions into that club, and he's the devil. In England, if you invest in your childhood club and take them through the leagues, it's a fairy tale. It's looked at completely differently, isn't it?
It is really looked at differently, and I think that's always been a really interesting thing that me and Mark have found as English blokes doing, Bundesliga content, and when we kind of touch upon these stories and these clubs, how much hate there really is in Germany specifically for these clubs and the success they've had in terms of being Bundesliga clubs or becoming Bundesliga clubs. So that's a really interesting narrative. So, whilst we got another 5 minutes or so of your time, Ryan, I just want to kind of plug a few quick ones out there to you, some quick fire questions. So I think if one thing I'd like to pose to you, if who should Bochum replace in the Bundesliga if you had to choose one team to kick out?
I know everyone wants me to say Leipzig, but I'm going to say Hoffenheim.
Okay, yeah, that's very fair. And then you've already kind of mentioned the state of play in the Bundesliga right now. It's not really a question to ask who's going to win the title. Not much of an exciting thing to ask, and I think you've already kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier when talking about Stuttgart and Frankfurt. But what clubs do you really enjoy watching, teams that get you out your seat, or ones that you've gone to and thought that's a really great club?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I am really, really missing the Bundesliga. I didn't think I would miss it this much after our relegation. So much so that I'm actually at the Rhine derby, which is Gladbach versus Köln. So these historic, big former Bundesliga champions, obviously FC Köln being the first, Gladbach having that run in the 70s. Those clubs really get me going. I've yet to see HSV Hamburg play. I've done a tour there, but not seen a game. So those clubs are what get me going. I love Stuttgart. I love the Frankfurt experience. These big, they're almost our sleeping giants, aren't they? Because in terms of size of the area, size of the club, these clubs should be rivaling Bayern for the title, shouldn't they? Yeah. Stuttgart, Frankfurt, Cologne. These clubs, if, as we said, there was investment allowed, Saudi billionaire would make these clubs rival Bayern, but it would take away the purity and the reason why we love German football. So,
yeah, precisely that. Nice question here from Nathan. So thank you for asking this. Definitely want to pose this to you, Rai. So yeah, big fan of the channel. Look forward to getting stuck into it. More could I ask? Looking at doing some ground hopping, could you give a breakdown of cost and some tips, do's and don'ts? I mean, I guess, over to yourself, Rai, to try and field that one. Whether it's a generic breakdown or some great do's and don't tips that I'm sure that would be appreciated for everyone watching.
Well, I actually promised my own subscribers that I would do a video on that last weekend, how much it costs, flights, hotel. I'll be honest, just finding time to edit everything has been really difficult. So firstly, I will do a video like that, but how my go-to is normally obviously Skyscanner is your comparison flights website. I normally book flights and accommodation either through trip.com or booking.com because I've earned reward points. Yeah. We never find a hotel much more expensive than £60 a night. I'm a bit of a cheapskate in that regard. Flights, obviously you get them cheaper the earlier you book. Generally, you'll find flights cheaper going to Dusseldorf or somewhere in the west as opposed to normally like Hamburg or Berlin, again, depending on when you book them. And then if you are looking for tickets to clubs, normally you wouldn't have a chance at the Ruhrstadion the way we're going at the moment. There's tickets going if you want to check out a struggling second division team. But it's as you guys know, again, you guys have been over. I think we do push the how cheap German tickets are maybe a bit too much because if you want to stand with the ultras on the terraces, you could stand there for 12 quid. If you don't want to buy a beer in the stadium, you can go to the kiosk and you can buy beer for like £1 a can. So you can do it cheap. But if you're a bit older like me and like the comfort of a seat, you're not going to pay that much less, I don't think, than you would in England. And then you got the flights and that on top. But I don't know about you. I don't go for the cost element. I go for the excitement of the culture, the atmosphere, and so on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's
My
a
girlfriend
really.
hates it, by the way,
Oh dear, we'll keep that one under wraps then.
because the cost.
Yeah, I can imagine. So probably just wrapping up then. It's been really fun to chat this evening, and kind of keep us talking about Bundesliga whilst we're having a dreaded yet another dreaded international break. I guess just summing up, right? Like just kind of tell us what this journey has meant to you, and what it's kind of given you, I suppose. Like we talk about, doing the content, doing the channel. Like your channel is absolutely amazing. You've got a great following, which is so cool. But aside from that, like what has it brought you in terms of the journey so far?
A purpose. I know that's cheesy. Is you'll sympathise with this as someone. People think, oh, Manchester United fan, they're doing terribly. That's why you're fed up. But we've been doing terribly for 11 years now. This isn't something overnight that's happened.
No.
And subconsciously, we wanted to find. Again, we'll speak about this off camera, but I chose the glory. I chose the glory at 5 years old. What do you do when the glory ends? Where's the emotional attachment to a club 3 hours away from where you live? If you've built that attachment based on glory and players, you're always going to feel a little bit unfulfilled. So finding that fulfillment and finding the purpose, and we all love different aspects of football, but finding that aspect that is applicable to you and your own interests, that's been the most fulfilling thing, really, is finding a place where you feel like you belong.
Brilliant. That's lovely stuff. And I think a really nice way to finish tonight's conversation and chat with you. So thank you again so much, Rai, for joining us this evening on the Bundesliga Show. All of his details are in the description of this video. If for some strange reason you don't already follow him on his YouTube channel or on Instagram, where of course he posts his content as well. Just summing up, just to make sure as well that leave a like on this video, particularly a thumbs up for Rai joining us. If you've not been able to watch us live, by all means leave a comment. We'd love whatever feedback it might be. That'd be awesome. Please do also subscribe to the channel. That'd be absolutely excellent. Yes, hopefully we can use something lovely to enjoy during an international break until we're next back doing some more content ahead of the next match week of the Bundesliga. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Really appreciate people that have added in some comments and questions. We will see you next time. Thank you all. Thank you, Rai. See you all soon. Bye-bye.